welcome back to another episode of Outside Shots with Eddie Johnson. I'm Saul Bookman. We got a lot to get into today, but to start things off, because, listen, CP3 is the point god, and I figured, you know what? There's no easy way to transition to this. We got a Father's Day sale going on here at PHNX, which I think is fucking awesome. So you should check it out this weekend. All of our gear is buy one, get one half off for Father's Day. So if you have that person in your life you want to celebrate, please do. And take advantage of the sale. As always, we are presented by OGsBrands.com, the best edible in the game.
There's a lot. Father's Day?
Father's Day is this next Sunday.
Next Sunday?
Next Sunday.
Father's Day is every day for me.
Oh, is it?
Oh, yeah.
What do you mean? Like, explain.
Spoiled every day, baby.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that's good for you. I'm happy for you.
I mean, you only get one day out of the year. Don't you feel left out?
No.
Wow.
I mean, no. I just don't.
You just get one day?
I mean,
they celebrate you as a father for one day.
I mean, I don't really.
Oh, hell no.
I don't really celebrate.
Celebrate me every day for being your daddy.
Oh my God.
Okay, look in your bank account.
Whose bank account?
I'm talking to my kids right now.
Okay, got you. Okay. Well, CP3 is, we're not even going to say no longer our son, because he's not technically off the roster at all. He hasn't even been technically waived at all. Regardless of what Crispy Haynes said yesterday, that's not official, and it's been confirmed several times by the team. So, got a lot of movement going on, a lot of moving parts. Your initial reaction when you heard this news yesterday?
I was on my radio show, SiriusXM NBA Radio, 1 to 4 Pacific time every day. I was shocked when I heard it because it came from nowhere. Like, normally I'm kind of privy.
Have you not heard about this stuff?
Like I said, result.
I got you.
Not the rumor, not the what could happen. I'm talking about if it's going down, I can get alerted by it, and I can find out a lot sooner than guys like yourself. Because
I got ends. I don't know if you knew that.
I know you have ends, and you have some locked outs too. So it was a shock, Saul. It was. I mean, I didn't know that was coming. And then when I obviously did my research and talked to some people, it was like, no, that's not the case. It's not an official transaction. But the way it came down, it looked like it. And I'll protect Chris Haynes, who I think he's for Bleacher Report. He's the one that came out with it. In this day and age of insiders, they always tend to want to beat the other to the punch. And then a lot of times they don't even protect each other if the person maybe got something wrong. And that to me bothers me.
Sure.
JJ Redick today on First Take kind of, I know what you did, JJ. You were kind of going at somebody, and then he's going to lift up Woj and say, Woj came out with the right story. Man, I've seen Woj jump to the forefront and make mistakes too, dude. So I'm going to protect my boy Chris Haynes, because it seems to me you were trying to go at him. No, it ain't happening on my watch. I think they all have a job to do. They all rush to judgment. Obviously, Chris Haynes got some information. It wasn't totally correct, or maybe it was, a little propaganda involved. And it made news quickly. I was shocked. But I understand, Chris is making $30 million, and he has a contract that says, all of it is not guaranteed. You talking to a dude, man, that dealt with non-guaranteed parts of his contract throughout his whole entire freaking career. So it's nothing unusual to me. And so I'm not shocked by it, but I'm hoping that it can work out and Chris can still be a son next year.
Yeah. I mean, $15.8 million is what Chris Paul's going to get regardless of what happens, whether it be stretched out, whether it be with another team, whether it be with the Suns. Guaranteed he's going to get that much money no matter how the Sun plays. Now, the thing that's left to be determined, and what the rumor is that the Suns want him back. Chris wants to come back. They just got to make sure that the structure is right. And obviously there's rumors out there of Chris coming back on the vet minimum, which would make it about $3 million, and then his total salary would be about 18. If he goes to another team, let's just say somebody picks him up off of waivers, well, that team would owe him the full $30 million because they have picked up that option. Because it would be after the June 28th deadline.
Right.
So there's a lot of things to be determined, obviously, as we go forward. And I know Chris wants to get a quick resolution to this, but I'm here to tell you, I just don't see that happening because there's still other options that the Suns have at play in terms of maybe trade movement. And I know this, and you tell me if I'm wrong, Eddie, being in that building, being a former NBA player, because of the longevity of Chris Paul's career, the Suns are not going to put him in a position that he doesn't want to be in if they can avoid it, right? They're not going to trade him to the Wizards because they want, a good return, or they want, or San Antonio if Chris doesn't have any interest in going to those places. I think by and large, Chris wants to either go to a championship level organization to possibly win a ring, or he wants to stay on the West Coast, mainly the Clippers, Lakers, or the Suns, I think, are the three that he would see fit. You tell me if I'm wrong in terms of the Suns' approach and trying to do right by a player of Chris's caliber.
Well, of course. I think, when you get older in this league and, like I know I played till I was 40, and at the end of my career, I wanted to go to a team that had a chance to win. And Indiana Pacers, didn't make it easy for me. They traded me to Denver, and Denver was acting like they were going to keep me. And I was like, no, I'm not staying. Dick Motta was the coach. And I said, Dick, no, I'm not staying. And by the way, I don't have anything under my warm-up, so I'm not playing. It's a true story. It's a true story. I didn't have anything under my warm-up. We were down in Miami. I said, I'm not playing. I said, I need to leave. You got young forwards. I need to be out. It's not comfortable for me here. You're not going to play me. I'm not going to ride at the end of the bench. I still can play. So just give me an opportunity to leave. And they dragged, and eventually they released me. And Dick Motta tried to actually put me in the game that night. And I told him. He laughed about it after. He said, Eddie, I was just kidding. Because I did not have anything on under my warm-up.
Would you just had like street clothes on?
I just had my warm-up on. And some underwear. True story. The guys on the team, the Denver team, was cracking up.
Oh,
Fonzo
my
Ellis,
gosh.
Antonio McDyess, they all got a kick out of it.
You lucky you didn't have just a lapse. It's just routine, right? They call your name. You know what I mean?
No, I knew I wasn't playing. I didn't have socks on, man.
I know, but still,
I didn't even have socks
that
on.
muscle memory might have kicked in, and you're just like, oh yeah,
I worked out before the game because I knew that Pat Riley and Eric Spoelstra, they all wanted to look at me warm up. And I warmed up. Went out there, went through a workout. They were sitting there watching because they knew that I didn't want to be there. And so Alan Bristow was the GM of the Nuggets then, and he and I didn't see eye to eye on a lot of things. And I told him, I said, I'm not playing for you. I'm at the end of my career. I retire. I don't care. I need to leave here and try to have a chance to go somewhere else. And they eventually did, and I signed with Houston.
Mm-hmm.
And so Chris is at the end of his career. He's put his time into this league. He's been tremendous. And I think, at the end, you want to at least make right by a player that really helped the organization go to the finals 2 years ago, play at an MVP level. So, of course, James Jones was going to try to do what's right for Chris in that regard. But then Chris has to know, and he does, that he's at the end of his career, and the league waits for no one. Chris probably will go down as one of the highest paid players in the history of this game over a period of his career. So nobody's going to feel sorry for him on that end. I think people would love to see him have an opportunity to win a title. And hopefully it can work out to where he's still here.
Compensation-wise, I think, Chris Paul, I don't think is a $30 million a year type of player anymore. I do believe he was when he was, the first couple of years he was with the Suns. I think Chris could see that. I would be shocked if a team out there on the market picks him up on waivers at that salary. That's a lot of money to pay for a player who at this point of his career, you don't know if you're going to get a full regular season out of, and then more importantly, if you were to get to the playoffs, what his reliability would be in the playoffs, because we've seen it for 3 straight years here, how up and down that has been. I think he's somewhere in between, and I think the $18 to $20 million range is something a team can swallow and they can be satisfied with. I think the $3 million of the Suns would pay him on the veteran minimum, plus the 15 that they would already owe him. I see it highly likely that he would come back at a lower rate. And with the additions of other things that might happen and moves that might happen with, there's rumors of DA being out there and, being a possible trade candidate, and whoever you can bring in. I think bringing Chris Paul back is a solid move for the Suns. Now, I don't think you can position this team as a threesome or a foursome of solid players because of the inconsistency in different ways with DA and Chris Paul. Mm-hmm. So you need to find somebody else that's going to be able to come in and be a solid contributor on a more consistent basis to help out the other two in KD and Devin Booker. And I think that's going to be the biggest challenge for the Suns this offseason, whether Chris Paul's in the fold or not.
Yeah. Well, obviously they're going to make some additions to the team. And trust me, it's going to be a lot of players. It's not a ton of top-notch players out there that's going to be free agents. But it's a lot of guys in the middle class that can help this team. Suns have 2 tremendous players in Devin Booker and Kevin Durant. And Deandre Ayton is still in uniform. No matter what you say about him, he is definitely a top echelon center in the league. And so when you have that kind of talent, now you just got to build around it. And so keeping Chris Paul, adding to the point guard position, where he doesn't have to play a ton of minutes, to have security there, a little bit more physicality at the forward position. Mm-hmm. All those areas I think need to be shored up. And I'm not talking about physicality and size, right? Length, as I would say, because I think they need that kind of guy to protect Devin and Kevin Durant. So there's some things that they have to shore up, and I'm sure they will in that regard. But, yeah. Look, this is a short window with the Chris Paul situation. This has to come to a head here in the next couple of weeks. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure Chris would like to have it happen and a decision made here in the next few days, but it's definitely going to happen in the next few weeks. And so this is something that, we will see evolve here over the next few days.
There's been a lot of things out there. We have a super chat, actually, by the way, by HM. Super chat says, glad we get to hear the smooth shooter in the offseason now. Yeah. They're happy to have you. During the season and the offseason. So, but in addition to all the CP3 news that happened, and we'll have more on the moves and the possible scenarios later on today on PHNX Suns, is the fact that, just a couple days ago, Frank Vogel was hired as the new Suns head coach. And then obviously they confirmed that Kevin Young will remain on the staff in addition to David Fizdale. I think so far, if you're looking at what the Suns have done on that bench, I think it's been a solid job. I think it's been a very good job. I think Frank Vogel coming in, having that championship experience, and really the experience of dealing with high-level personalities like LeBron and AD, Paul George in the past, can only help this franchise and really Devin Booker and Kevin Durant get to the next level in terms of winning this franchise's first championship. And then you throw in Kevin Young and David Fizdale. What I know a lot of people know, basically everything they're going to know about Kevin Young, and we've talked about Kevin Young. We'll get to Frank Vogel in a second, but what about David Fizdale? What do you know about David Fizdale, and why is he such an important part? And really, why do you think Matt Ishbia spent the kind of money that it required to get somebody of his caliber on that bench?
Well, let's be honest. Sometimes you got to have a combination of coaches, not even just coaches, like even in a company, a corporation, you need people that can reach people in a way that others can't. And let's face it, David Fizdale is a guy that has dealt with a lot of upper echelon players in his career as a coach. And he knows how to communicate. So he'll be able to communicate with Devin and Kevin Durant in a different way than Vogel can. And you have to have that difference in voices around the team. And like I said, he has been a guy that's he was down in Miami. He obviously coached in Memphis. He's been around upper echelon, high quality players that sometimes you have to reach them with a different way. And sometimes the head coach is not the one to do it. That's why you bring in assistants. I think, the Kevin Young, I know you're going to talk about him, but he has a good relationship with Devin. Mm-hmm. Like for Frank Vogel, he would love to come into a situation where he doesn't have to be the guy that's doing everything. Like a head coach shouldn't have to. That's why, in this day and age, they got 30 damn assistant coaches over there, which I think is too many. I don't care what anybody say. I totally disagree with it. When I played, we had 2 damn assistant coaches. When you got all these damn voices in your ear and all this different, and I know they try to separate it. I know they try to cut down guys from communicating with players, and I know they separate players and put them with certain coaches. But still, those other coaches will find a way to get to you because they're trying to climb the ladder. Yeah. And when you're hearing all these damn voices, man, it was driving me crazy. I was like, man, get out my face, dude. I'm only want to hear something from 1 or 2 people. That's it. You're driving me crazy. And so I think it's good that they brought in Fizdale to give a different look with Vogel. Look, Vogel probably would admit that in LA at the end, it was very difficult in regards to communication. Mm-hmm. The Russell Westbrook scenario, back and forth, Vogel having to deal with that stuff every day instead of actually dealing with his team. He doesn't want that. He's a very good coach. He doesn't need that, man. He needs to be able to show up, practice, teach, coach, and have great assistants that can help him put out fires around him. Mm-hmm. And he doesn't have to deal with that. So a coaching staff is important, man. And so I love the addition of Fizdale, and I think that was a tremendous move.
Yeah, no, I agree. And again, back to Frank Vogel, I think one of the things that I like about Frank Vogel is his versatility defensively. He's going to try and take advantage of your weaknesses. That's something that everybody keeps pointing about Spoelstra. And I think Frank Vogel, to some degree, can also do that as well. The biggest thing right now, and I think this is going to be after the CP3 stuff, obviously DA is going to be prevalent in terms of, whether the Suns keep him, if they try to trade him, if they try to move him, is Frank Vogel's ability to move his big pieces. We've seen it with Hibbert. We've seen it with AD. He likes to have those rim protectors. DA did not have a good year last year, point blank. That's just, he had good moments, but he did not have a good year. And when you are a center and you are outside of the top 40 in block shots for the entire season, and multiple guys on your own team that don't even play the center position were ahead of you on that list, that ain't good. And so I'm very curious to see if DA stays on this roster, what Frank Vogel is going to be able to pull out of him. Because I will say this, for the amount of money that Deandre Ayton is, and you do have to look at the money versus the production. It's just, that's the nature of the business. You're not getting what you need out of one of your quote unquote star players. And I'm really, really anxious to see if Frank Vogel is going to be able to do anything with DA in order to get him to a level where he's consistent and really representative of what he did in that 2021 playoff series for the most part, consistently.
When you say, what Vogel can get out of him, no, it's what DA is willing to give up. And it comes a point in time where, he's a professional.
Yeah.
And so the coach shouldn't have to, one thing, get you in shape. These are things a coach doesn't have to do. Okay, you should do it. You should always show up in shape. That's your job. I played 18 years. I never showed up out of shape. I was never out of shape one time in my basketball career. Mm-hmm. Okay? From high school all the way 18 years in the NBA. I was always at my weight. I was always in shape. I ran every day. I showed up. I ate right. I did everything I was supposed to do. A coach shouldn't have to do that for you. Secondly, a coach shouldn't have to tell you to be, if it's practice at 10, you're there at least 45 minutes to an hour before. They shouldn't have to tell you that. You should know that that's what you're supposed to do. I'm not saying that's not what Deandre has not done. I'm saying I'm just going through a line of things that a coach should not have to worry about. Okay. And then thirdly, a coach should never have to worry about you not being in tune with the playbook and you not paying attention. Like, all those things are there. And then third, a coach should not have to tell you to play hard. So, with all those things I just said, and if you're talented, right? And like, I wasn't athletic, but I did all those things. That's why I scored 19,000 points. That's why I was very productive in my career, because I did all those things. If I didn't do those things, I would have probably been out of the league. So if Deandre does all those things and then show up and play lights out hard, he will be an all-star.
Yeah.
So it's really on him. It's not on Frank Vogel. Like, Frank will put him in the places to be productive, but it's up to him. And I would say that about any player. Like, the coach is only there to really build off of what the package that you're bringing.
Sure.
And he should never tell you to do the things I mentioned. You should already have that incorporated into your mindset.
Okay, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to ask you this just because, not because I'm trying to defend DA by any stretch of the imagination, because I feel like you're right. About 99% of this is on him. I will say this, though. Do you think that sometimes a player can be in a situation and because of maybe the environment or the everybody adored the culture that Monty provided, but even James Jones said that they needed a new voice, and I wonder if that new voice and Monty kind of wearing maybe DA down to a certain degree, DA just was not motivated to play hard for that guy. Now, I know as a professional, you should always play hard, right? But there is a human element, right? Like there's things that, I kind of mentioned this earlier, like sometimes you're just in a situation and you're in an environment where you just do not feel appreciated. You don't feel valued. You feel like maybe you're a target of criticism constantly. And I wonder if there's any part of that played into how DA performed or did not perform. Do you think there's any merit to that at all?
Of course. I mean, look, I played for Cotton Fitzsimmons. Dude just screamed at me nonstop. But I was used to it because most of my coaches in my life were that kind of guy. Yeah. And so I just thought that was a part of coaching. So, I mean, but I needed it. I played my best when I was irritated. I played my best when I was challenged. And coaches pretty much knew that about me. Coach's job is to figure you out and how to approach you. I think Frank Vogel knows how to do that. He wouldn't be at this level if he didn't. And Monty had a certain way of really, approaching Deandre to get the best out of him. Now, Deandre would have to go back and look at film and look at periods when he did play well. Was Monty really focus on him and riding him and really maybe going overboard in film sessions, calling him out? And if that was the case, then look back at the quality of your play when he was doing that.
Yeah.
Some players need it. Some players don't need to be self-motivated. But, big men in general tend to have to be that guy. And so, yeah, I mean, maybe any coach's voice gets old. Coaches are hired to be fired, man. I say that, man. Everybody can't be Greg Popovich. They can't be Eric Spoelstra.
Yeah.
Okay? It's not going to happen. You hired that first day, you on borrowed time as a coach. And it doesn't matter what you've done. Monty got fired, and he went to the finals a couple years ago. Rick Carlisle got fired from Detroit, went to the Eastern Conference Finals. I think Lionel Hollins got coach of the year or something like that, or he went to the finals, he went to the conference finals, got fired. In Memphis, George Karl, I think got coach of the year, got fired. It does not matter.
Yeah.
Okay? It does not matter. It just you just know that's going to happen. And what you do is you just coach the way that you feel like you have to coach. And Monty coached the way he felt like he had to coach, and his voice went out. And now Vogel gets 5 years of opportunity to see what he can do with Deandre. And I'm sure his ego is saying, I can make it work with him.
Yeah.
And so if that's the case, then Deandre has to know that he's willing to do it, and that now he's got to go out there and get it done.
I'm going to push back on a couple comments in the chat right now. Okay, so number one, PDog006, he says excuses are monuments of nothingness. Saul, a lot of us have to work with terrible bosses, DAs and special. Life is hard. Deal with it or move on. And then Chris Lopez says you can't be paid millions of dollars and not feel value and quote not and feel quote not valued. I'm going to disagree with that completely. I don't care how much money you're getting paid. If you don't feel valued within your organization, let's just talk about you guys, right? If you don't feel valued in your workspace, guess what you're probably doing? You're probably trying to find another workplace to go to. And that's the human element of this, right? If I did not like it here, I wouldn't be sitting here for the next year just, well, I'm getting paid this money and this is just what I have to do. And I'm just going about my daily life because they're paying me money. I just got to suck it up. No, that's bullshit. That's absolute bullshit. No, people will look for other opportunities if they don't feel valued in the space that they're in. And I don't care how much money you're getting paid. I don't care if you're getting paid, 25 grand a year to $25 million a year. If you don't feel valued, you don't feel valued. And so, and I'm not saying that that's what's happening with DA. I think there's a lot of different things that are going on with DA that there's a lot to unpeel with him for whatever reason. And I don't know what's going on with him. And I'm not behind those closed doors. And I don't know what is really happening on a day-to-day basis. But to sit there and say that because he's getting paid $30 million, he's just got to suck it up and do it, like, there's a human element to this that also has to be acknowledged. You can't just dismiss it because he's getting paid $30 million. You don't get to treat people like shit no matter how much you're paying them.
Some of the most unhappiest people
are the richest
in the world, are the ones with all the money.
Yeah.
When people don't have the amount of money that other people have, they tend to think that if they had it, that life would be great. No, it wouldn't. Just go read books on lottery winners in this country.
Ugh.
Lottery winners in this country, a lot of them wish they didn't win the lottery because they come upon money so fast and then they had to deal with all the stuff around it. You're still human, man. You still can reach depression no matter where you stand in society, no financially or whatever. You're going to deal with it. So when people always want to bring up money, oh, he should be happy because he's making this, that has nothing to do with it, man. Trust me. Depression will hit you at whatever level you are. And you can be having the best things going for you, and it can hit you. So, no, you have to treat each person equally and try to figure them out past where you think they should be feeling, because that's the biggest mistake, that people think somebody should be feeling a certain way and they don't give them the attention that they deserve. And then you look up and they've done something to harm themselves, and then you're feeling guilty. No. Everybody needs attention. And Deandre obviously has had his issues and he's had his struggles. You'll see him doing any course of the game. And, I was a leader on teams, so I always remind guys we had to be cognizant of it. Whereas, like, Deandre could hear, like, during a timeout, he's walking to the bench, he's got 3 or 4 guys coming over to him off the team, telling him stuff. It gets to the point where it can get overbearing. And so you have to be really careful in how you handle it. And I think the great thing I saw last year when Kevin Durant came on board, I saw Kevin Durant, and maybe he and Chris Paul had a conversation and he gave it over to KD and let KD handle it with DA. But I saw KD a lot of the times conversing with Deandre during the course of a game. And it's always good to have a new voice, a guy that maybe you looked up to, as a player in college. And, Kevin Durant's on this team. And coaching you up and giving you that positivity, he needed that. And he still needs it. Everybody's not the same. Everybody's not hardcore like Saul. I can get on Saul all day long, even though he cursed me out a week ago on the golf course.
Oh, my God. Let it go. We brought that up last week. But listen, I get it. Like, I'm not saying that Phoenix is the best place for DA by any stretch of the imagination. I acknowledge that maybe a change of scenery might do him some good. But I'm just saying, like, at the end of the day, it's not just as easy as he's getting paid this, so he needs to be able to deal with this. And I'm sorry you had to deal with that last job you had, P-Dog 66, for 5 years before you finally said, fuck it, I'm out. but that's not all of us, and some of us move on quicker than that. So I just want to say that out loud. Before we move on to our next topic, I do want to give a shout out to our good friends over at ogsbrands.com. They are fantastic, one of the best edible companies, and really just one of the best companies in the game. They do such a great job of really marketing themselves out there. If you've seen their commercials, you've seen their Instagram, they're fantastic. The people over there are 1,000,000% awesome. So you should check them out. The edibles are fantastic. I've gone on and on and on about them. They got new brands that are dropping. They got a new lemonade one that's coming up here, I think on the 21st of June. Just fantastic edible brand. I've almost got Eddie to the point where he might try one. So it's fantastic. But if you want to check out the nearest dispensary to you to get one, go to ogsbrands.com. And remember, you must be 21 and over. And also, I will be out at the NBA Summer League because what else do we have to do over here? Are you going to go to the NBA Summer League?
Normally I work the NBA Summer League, but I will be returning from Europe, so I don't know.
Oh, okay. All right. Well,
some people got to go on vacation.
I mean, I feel you.
The basketball I can't just be drowned in it nonstop.
I got you. Okay. Well,
but I love the Summer League. If you haven't had a chance to go to Summer League, go.
Well,
it's unreal.
Speaking of which, if you do want to go, we got this fantastic new trip that through our friends over at Sports Trips America that you can come join us out in NBA Summer League. It's a full-fledged package. No travel involved because here in Arizona, we can just drive over there, so we don't really need flying options. But hotel rooms, you can come to our special event that we're going to have, and it's going to be fantastic. 3 nights, 4 nights, however long you want to stay. We have different packages. Go to gophnx.com and click on events and go down to Summer League, and you can see all the different prices. We got different tiers, and it's just fantastic. It's going to be a great time. So if you want to come check it out, we'll be at Circle Las Vegas too. So if you want to come check us out over at Circle Las Vegas, we're going to be hanging out at that Stadium Swim. So that'll be fun. Yeah. Watch some of those Summer League games.
Great 2 weeks. And I'm telling you, it is, I've gone for the last, 10, 12, 13 years. It's networking heaven there.
If you've never been, I'm talking about like you're walking around the concourse and you're going to run into NBA coaches, you're going to run into players, you're going to run into Shams and Woj, you're going to run into the whole gamut. It's an NBA delight. It's one of the best events of the year. And yes, ESPA will be blazed. I promise you that. We will be out there partaking in some OGs while we watch Ish Wainwright take some threes again. So
you don't take notes while you
of course. No, this is a networking event. This is where we make all our money. So you can come check us out, have a good time. Again, go to gophnx.com, click on events, and check out all the different prices available. Last night, the Denver Nuggets took care of business, got back in front in this series 2-1. We won't go too long on the Nuggets, but I said earlier that, and I got scorched by Denver Nuggets fans because I said that Jamal Murray was the head of the snake for the Denver Nuggets. And the reason why I said that was because Jokic is always going to get his. He's too damn good of a player and too versatile to not get his. But if you stop Jamal Murray, then you have a chance to beat the Denver Nuggets. And every game that Jamal Murray has gone off on, they have won, and kind of won convincingly, especially in the second half. Jamal Murray with a triple-double, 30-point triple-double, and Jokic with a 30-point triple-double, the first pair in NBA history to accomplish that feat. What was your overall takeaway from the game?
No, I totally agree with you. It's not a surprise. Look, Jokic over the last couple of years when Jamal Murray was hurt, he had his struggles in regards to winning. And, and I've said all along, I said, a couple of years ago before the injuries happened and they were in the bubble, I said the Nuggets are a very talented basketball team from top to bottom, could be the most talented in the league. Excuse me. And so Jamal Murray is showing everybody how good he is. And that offense, is executed by Jokic, but it's ignited by Murray. Meaning that Murray's actions off of the ball coming into the space of Jokic in regards to the handoff, two-man game, ignites everything that happens after that because the defense has to adjust to Murray coming off because he is so good at and so potent, not only from three, but putting the ball on the floor, getting to the rim, and mid-range. So you have to be alert with him, and because of that, you're switching, you're doing all of this, and it allows Jokic to not be doubled and allows him to go and get very good position in the paint, and now when he catches it, it's over. And so, when Murray is playing well, they're very difficult to beat. That's a prime example last night. I'm shocked Miami allowed him to come out and get started like he did. Then they started to trap him. By then, I thought he had his rhythm. It was too late. But those two, when they're playing that well, they're not going to lose. Not to Miami. Now, if Boston had beaten Miami, I still think Boston would have a sincere chance of winning, even if those two went off. The Suns had a sincere chance of winning when those two went off. But Miami does not have the firepower to match both of those guys doing what they did. And I said before the series, if those two guys score 55 to 60 points, then Miami can't beat them.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened last night.
Yeah, that's exactly. I mean, that listen, those two, like to your point, I firmly believe that if those two are on, I would even push back against the fact that maybe Boston could even compete because they're just so damn good. And because of the versatility of Jokic and how many things he can do to destroy you, it just makes the Nuggets are they're a tough ass team to beat. And we saw that during the series. And I will say this too. Let's go back to this because I feel like, a lot of us maybe kind of we moved on so fast because we got bounced so bad in that game 6 that we kind of forget the fact that we did beat the Nuggets twice. Now, it took a Herculean effort by Devin Booker. Let's not just dismiss that.
But it's not. But it wasn't an anomaly.
No,
we've
it wasn't.
seen many Herculean efforts by Devin.
I'm not saying it was an anomaly.
Jokic had Herculean efforts.
True.
Okay, so I wouldn't even go there with Devin. Like we know that Devin is capable of doing what he did.
For sure. Sure. But what I will say is that the Suns did beat them twice, and if they go on to win the NBA championship in 5 games, the Suns will be the only team to beat them twice in this entire playoff run. And I think that's something that maybe we kind of glossed over and kind of moved by a little too quickly.
Suns would have beaten them. If Chris Paul does not get hurt, they win game 2 in Denver. They were up 9 or 10 points, and Chris Paul was playing well. And then obviously DeAndre in game 6, so now you don't have Chris Paul and you don't have DeAndre. So no, I think the Suns would have gotten them. Most people had the Suns winning that series. But you're not going to beat Denver when you got 2 key players out, and Chris Paul is one of those guys. So, and I'm not making any excuses. Denver did what they had to do, but the Suns did play them extremely well, and that so far has been the only team. I still believe that Miami has a great chance of winning Game 4, and so now they'll have 2 wins. So that's just the way I look at it.
Yeah, no, I agree. Finally, before we wrap up, I just want to say this, Eddie. We're not going to talk about Zion Williamson. And if you don't know, then I'm sorry to tell you, but you're going to have to go to Twitter and find out because I'm not talking about that mess today.
What do they won't know about Zion? I mean, what restaurant he went to? What?
Nah, I'll tell you after the show's over.
Oh, I know.
Okay.
I know. Well, you know what? Look, I don't know why people always want to get in people's private life. Like,
they're not trying to get in people's private life. The private life came to them.
Well, because somebody saw it
on Twitter.
That's fine. But I just don't like. Everybody got like. I can open up the closet of all you dudes on here that want to hear about it, and I want to look in your closet.
Oh man,
stop. Man, look, like I said, if it ain't nothing wrong with you, something wrong with you. My problem with guys is what they do on the court. And now if they do something off the court that affects the way they play, okay. But other than that, living your life, making mistakes, having your little things you like to do or get involved with, to me, has nothing to do with me, man, as long as you do what you're supposed to do on the court. So all these guys are interested in what Zion is doing. You know, I don't understand that.
I'm not going to pass judgment on him. I just thought, wow, all his business is just being thrown out there like that. And that was
He's a young guy. He's learning. Whew. Look, the guy walks out of his door, he can get what he wants.
Yeah. Clearly.
Now,
all right.
That's why I would like those people that like criticize him. Put yourself in that situation and know you can walk into any public environment and get attention and don't have to work for it. How would you be?
Yeah. So Damian Lillard was on a podcast the other day talking about potential landing spots if he were to get traded.
Everybody keeps saying Damian Lillard is going to be traded to the Knicks. Damian Lillard's going to be traded to the Heat. Damian Lillard should be traded to the Celtics. Damian Lillard's going to be traded to the Nets. If one of those trades went through out of those teams, which one will you be like, that's not too bad?
Miami, obviously. Miami is the obvious one. And Bam is my dog. Bam is my dog for real. But I mean, I think Miami the obvious one. Brooklyn is obvious one. Is another obvious one because Mikal Bridges is my dog too. So I mean, and both are capable.
And that last part is what got everybody like, oh, Mikal. Obviously because Mikal Bridges, former Phoenix Sun. Damian Lillard just letting it all loose, like, hey, Miami, Brooklyn. There's been other rumors. I've heard Boston is in the mix and all this other stuff. I don't know if Damian's ultimately going to get traded from Portland unless he makes that mandate. But Damian Lillard, I think this kind of speaks to the new era of athlete too. Is that he was just kind of, hey, this is what it is, and I appreciate that from him. To be honest with you, I like to hear what other players think about other organizations and why they would want to go.
You've never heard that from Dame Lillard until now. The only thing you've ever heard from Damian Lillard is, I'm not going anywhere. I love Portland. I'm not joining. I want to be here. I don't need to go chase a championship. And all that time when Damian, who's always very nice and cordial with me, and I love him as a player, I love him as a person. I think I've interviewed him a ton of times, and I just think he's one of the better leaders in the league. But the one problem I've always had with him is his insistence that, I'm not going to join, I'm not going to leave. And I would always tell guys, man, like, he's going to go down as one of the greatest players ever at his position, right, based on what he's done, scoring-wise and all of that. But ultimately, he'll be sitting around as an old man, and he'll say, did I do everything I was supposed to do to help myself win a title? Because that's ultimately what you would like to experience. And for me, it's like you can do that anywhere. Mm-hmm. Like, I understand the allegiance part, but I also feel like it goes both ways. And I was traded 4 or 5 times. Where was the allegiance there? Like, it's a part of the business. And I don't think teams have a problem with it. I think sometimes players get stuck in it. I'm going to play with the same team, and I'm not going to go do this, and I don't need help. Everybody needs help in this life. Damian Lillard needs help. He's not going to win a title with him being the head. That's not an indictment on Damian Lillard. It just so happens there's only a handful of players in the history of this game that could help really lead a team to championship.
Yeah.
Okay? That's just the way it is. And it's not an indictment on you. It's hard to do. It's one of the most hardest things to do is to win a title, to circumvent 30 teams, have a great record. You got to win 16 games to win a championship. And it's not easy. And so now he's finally reached the point that I've been hoping he got to to where he actually is giving the Portland Trailblazers an open door to trade him. That's all they wanted. They weren't going to trade Damian Lillard when Damian Lillard kept saying he didn't want to leave. He is an icon in Portland.
Yeah.
But now, since it's okay, because they're not going to maybe build around him like he would like, now he's good with it. And I'm happy for him. You know, I really am, because he's too dynamic a player to not have a chance to play on the biggest stage.
Yeah.
And so wherever he goes, you know, I'm just glad that he's opened that portal for Portland to go ahead and do it, and now wouldn't face the vitriol that they would face if they did it and Dame came out and said, well, I didn't want to leave, or, you know, they did me wrong.
Yeah.
Now it's an even feel, and so I expect Damian Lillard to be playing for somebody else.
It feels
next
like
year.
It feels like it just took him a little while to come to that reality. And once it kind of set in that, as much as I want to clamor for this or I want this to happen, like Portland was just not going to make the necessary moves in order to build a level of a championship contender for Damian Lillard as they stand right now. Not that they haven't tried, it's just it hasn't come through. And so I think Damian Lillard deserves, like you said, to win a championship or at least compete for a championship at a high level. He got close in the bubble, but it was kind of fool's gold. It wasn't really like did he really have a chance? No, he really didn't have a chance in that series.
And he's not going to get free agents up there. Yeah. It's like, even
though Portland's a nice place to live.
Right, man.
Oh, I guess I hit a nerve.
No, you didn't hit a nerve. I lived in Seattle for 3 years. I would have made Seattle my home.
It's nice, right?
It rains too damn much, man. It rains. And then there's no summertime, man. There's no seasons up there. No. I couldn't live there. I love to visit there. Don't get me wrong. I do think it's a beautiful city, without a doubt. But if you're a free agent, are you going to choose to go to Portland? No.
Ain't no off-season. There ain't no season like it. Go ahead.
He lives in Arizona, and he said there's no seasons in Washington.
This is true.
There's no seasons here.
Well, let me correct you. Let me correct you on that statement. Okay? Really? So what does the temperature get down to in the wintertime here?
Here.
30s. Oh, no. 50s.
We're not talking lows.
I'm saying
don't talk lows, because lows last like 2 hours.
In Phoenix, lows last 2 hours. How long you been living here?
26 years.
No, well, the lows don't last 2 hours. Are you kidding me? You talking to a golfer, okay, that's out there playing for 4 damn hours in the wintertime, and it's about 40 degrees and 38 degrees. That's not true, all right? So you do get cold, right? And you do have a fall, all right? All right, you do have, you don't have leaves falling off, but you have a fall. You do. It's 55, 60 degrees. That's the most perfect time. That's not summer. That's not summer. Okay, and then you have the heat of the summer. Okay, but guess what? The one thing that you always got is sun.
Too much of it.
Oh no!
You must be crazy.
No, that's spoken like a person that has not lived it for a very long, extended period of time.
You must
elsewhere.
be crazy. I will take you. Move to Chicago and then call me up. You'll have me come help you get out of there.
I've got no desire to move to Chicago.
Okay then. So that's why that's why this place here is as near perfect as Hawaii. To me, Hawaii is the most perfect place for weather, and this place to me is a close second. I'll take the heat. I go in the air conditioning. That's what we in now. How you feel?
The chat agrees with me, Eddie. That's
how
all I
you
gotta
feel.
say.
Well, that's because they don't live here. See, if they didn't live here, then they're gonna say, "Oh, it's 115 there every day." Please, man, I'd rather be here than shoveling snow anytime.
There's a lot of people in the chat weighing in. KO says 2 seasons, winter and hot. Hello says the 1 season, and then
the one guy says it's someone that lives in Chicago. 40 degrees is cold. He's wondering, but you got to understand something. The desert cold
is a different cold.
Dude. So to you, it might be 40, right? But I guarantee it's going to feel like about 25 when that desert cold gets up under your clothes. So you just go ahead and stay in my old hometown, Chicago. Keep doing what you're doing, okay? All right?
Ironically, his name is Eddie in the chat. which is funny. Do you have your phone on or something?
No.
He does say Chicago is the best summer city in the U.S. I don't know.
I don't know about that. Man, look, I grew up there, dude. Okay, trust me, I love the city, but you gonna tell me at nighttime humidity is 100%, mosquitoes are out biting you, and they was always on EJ because it's that good good taste they got, the mosquitoes. Man, please. You kidding me, man? I take a shower and I'm sweating as soon as I turn the water off. And you gonna talk about no, stop.
Venomage in the chat. No, there's a lot of guys are boring talk about basketball, not the weather. We've been talking about basketball for the last 50 minutes.
Get out of here, then.
Sorry you just joined the show,
Later.
Venomage. Bye!
Get out of here.
Get out of here.
Nobody care.
And speaking of getting out of here, that's our time. We're all done for the day. You can follow this guy over on Twitter at JumpShot8, JumpShot8 on Twitter.
I'm getting ready to go out in a 99-degree temperature right now.
And on Instagram. You can follow me both spots as well at Saul_Bookman. And
You haven't gotten too dark in the summer though. What's wrong with you?
because I'm in here all the time. I'm putting in work on a day-to-day basis. You can follow my guy on SiriusXM Radio, NBA Radio.
Look how tan I got. Look how light I am. I'm seeing how dark.
You don't look at this. Look at this. It's bright.
Now,
It's bright.
The problem is, look at it. Look at the definition. Show yours again.
I got a little.
That ain't no definition, man.
Come on, man. I'm not
here,
slouch,
man.
man. I'm not slouch. Anyway, that's been fun. We'll see you all there. Peace.